This tutorial assumes you have a basic knowledge of the fundamentals of Blender, and if you do not, then I highly recommend Blender Guru's Donut tutorial. On to the tutorial for this. So you first delete everything, and then add in a plane. Then add in a curve, Shift A, C, B, and then go onto the plane and add a curve modifier and an array modifier. And you want the array modifier before the curve. So now you should have something that looks like that. Now you can pretty much ignore this entirely, so H to hide, and just block out your basic shape. So I like to rotate this 45 degrees so that way we have a nice straight section for like the start and finish line. Let's give it a basic shape. Doesn't need to be anything too sophisticated, but make sure that your curves aren't too sharp. Like over here, it's a bit sharp, so call it good with something like that. Extrude this over here, give another curve, and then fill that in, and then move these out, and probably subdivide this actually. Alright, here we go, a basic layout. Now Alt H to unhide. And we want to give this thing some loop cuts. So that's good. And we can scale it down so that way it's more apt for the core size and increase the array counts. Move it so that way it's like that, and scale it on the x-axis until they're almost touching, like that. Turn on merge and first and last. This thing's a bit too small, so let's do it like that. That looks like a good course model. Save it as now that we have that, so we can just save it. Alright, we have our basic layout. Now we added another plane. This plane will be for like the land that you'll be like the off-road, because we're making a Mario Circuit style course. So just move it down a tiny bit with Shift GZ, so that way it's not directly overlapping, but it's there. Now we have this, we want to scale it a little bit up, and we want to make the inside walls and such. So now, the easiest way to do this I have found is just Shift A and add in a cube and add in another curve. Now this curve will be the inside for it, so it doesn't have to be anything too special, and make sure we add array, then add modifier curve, Bezier curve 01, Z, numpad 7, tab a G, and then we just go around and do the inside, keeping some space for shortcuts. So like here I won't do all the way in there because I want there to be a shortcut there. Now, but I do want to block off this area some. And call that good. Now we need to scale this down again. And actually we want to scale this on the x-axis and give it some loop cuts. so that way it looks more like the actual blocks of our circuit. We can then move it on the z-axis, scale it in a little bit, and I think something like that seems reasonable. So now you just increase the array count until it's in there, and then we want to delete these faces, this and that face, because those will be redundant and won't be seen. So now that's not there, you want to then duplicate this, scale it out a little bit, and then edit the curve, because this will be our outer walls. This one can be even simpler than the inside, because it just needs to serve its purpose of working as like a general barrier. And this one's higher than the previous one, and we don't want that, so we can just scale it in until it's concurrent with that, and then increase the array count. Alright, call that good for the basic layout in course. Now, obviously this track would be very boring as is, so let's add in a start line. So Shift A, M, Y, and I like to make mine 16 vertices. And shade smooth, normals, auto smooth, pad 7, and something like that. Now obviously that's way too tiny for an actual start line, so we can scale it up. Still, something like that seems good, a bit too close. Shift D, Y. Alright, actually GY a little bit, move them a bit closer. Alright, now we join these two. Now we can Control R each one, and we're in edge select, so select those, double tap G to slide it up, and we also want something up top. So we take that, take this, and also slide that up. Now we select that edge, should be over here, and these ones. Now, oh, and we don't want the top. Alright, that's fine there. Now we want to make sure our normals are correct around this stage. So Alt and F, and now we have a start sign. Now, just the start sign is enough, so let's make some trees. So let's add in a cube, turn on auto merge vertices, scale 0, and now we just have a single vertex. You want to extrude it along the z-axis, and I like to go into top view just to get the basic shape down, and then move it along the z-axis. And then top view again, I extrude these, scale them out, move them in a direction, adjust to fit, Shift D, Shift D, extrude. Sorry, I'm not duplicating, I'm extruding. Sorry about that. Anyways, we move these up on the z-axis. Alright, now we have a basic tree shape. I think it's a bit too high, so let's do something like that and move all these down a little bit. Yeah, that's a bit better. And now we want to add a skin modifier, so that is over here. Now we press A and then Control A in order to make things skinnier, and then we can just select each individual vertex and scale them out into tree shape proportions. And we can still move things around. Control A. And just fill it until you have something that you like and looks good. So like, I think that's fine. So now we want to apply that modifier and add a dust mate modifier, as otherwise it's way too high poly, because it's currently at 300 triangles, but we can reduce it so that way it's down to like 100 some, and yet still looks nearly the same. That's a bit too much, so alright, so yeah, that's fine. Now that we have the base of the tree, we want to add some leaves. So Shift A M U for a UV sphere and make it 8 segments by 4 rings. This creates your typical low poly leaf slash bush thing, so just duplicate it, scale it, move it around. DS, Shift D, S, R, Shift D, R, so it makes it much easier to coordinate that way. Alright, now we have the basic course model done.